welcome to the Secret Restaurant Podcast, back with a vengeance, so beware. I will be your host for this journey through space and time. My name is Nate Hoyle, and it's probably been like a month and a half since I've done the last one. What I've been thinking about after not doing the podcast for a while is like thinking about speaking, thinking about voice, thinking about enunciation, because for some reason I've been using a weird voice when I'm doing the podcast, and it's even starting to irritate myself. So I don't know where it came from or why I do it. Maybe it's because I'm by myself, speaking about myself. Don't take myself seriously. And so I start to use a voice that is like this. It's like, get real, man, you know? Why don't you get real about it? Why don't you use your real voice? Well, I'll tell you why. Because I am uncomfortable with speaking to myself still. But yeah, speaking to people, having conversations with people is interesting, man. It's like, as opposed to this one where I'm just like talking. I feel like there's a communication with someone where you're looking at them and actively listening, and then you start to speak differently, you know. Like if I were looking at you right now with an intense glare, I'd probably be speaking differently than I am right now. Yeah. And then also, you know, enunciation. If you're trying to be clear about something and you're trying to speak to someone, like the enunciation makes a difference too. Because you want to say the right words. Like some words people already expect them, but if you don't expect a word coming, you got to enunciate that one, right? So it's like if you're talking about like, oh hey man, where'd you go this weekend? I went to the movie theater. Oh, I went to I saw a show downtown. I saw a show downtown this weekend. You know what I mean? You got to enunciate certain words. Do other people do that, or is that just like a thing that I'm psychotic? Oh, I went to a brewery. I went to a hockey game. Oh, I went to a hockey match. Something like that. Yeah, I don't know. It's also kind of rhythmic, like you got to let the words punch so people can hear you, especially when you're outside. If you're inside, if you're in someone's headphones like this, you don't need to have your words punched through the air as much. But if you're outside, I did go to a hockey match. You say match, you don't say hockey games. Hockey game, hockey match, hockey exhibition, hockey exhibition match. This would be a lot easier if you were sitting here next to me. I'm sorry for the chaoticness, you know, but unfortunately we have to do it this way where I talk to my phone without anyone on the other line. It'd be crazy to do a podcast where I put someone on the other line and then they just don't say anything. And then I can say things to them specifically instead of, you know, doing it this way. I did go to a hockey match for the Quad City Storm. I don't know what division it is, but not pro. Like, you say semi-pro still? I don't know. But semi-pro, I don't know. But that was the second time I've seen them. They used to be called the Quad City Mallards when I was growing up. And their mascot was a duck. And I was getting kind of nostalgic about it. This was years ago. I was getting nostalgic about it, and so I went on eBay, and I actually found a vintage Quad City Mallards jersey, because in my mind, I'm like, it's a Quad City Mallards, of course. But then I started wearing it, and everyone thought it was a Mighty Ducks jersey. I was like, dang it. But now they're the Storm, and their logo is like a tornado. Second time I've seen them as the Quad City Storm in the last, I guess, 1 year, maybe a little more, because it was last season and this season. And both games I've been to have gone into overtime, or whatever you say. They won both games, and this one it was ended in the final period of playing regular hockey. But the first one last year, that one actually went into a shootout. I think that's what you call it. And they won that one too. but the game went on. The game went on for an extended period of time, and honestly, I think I was kind of ready for it to be over, but when they won, I was glad they won. You ever have, like, you go to a sporting event, and it's not like your favorite team ever, it's not like some team that you have the merch for and keep up with, and so you're like, I really hope this doesn't go into overtime. I get that a lot. Sometimes kind of like, I don't really care who wins anymore. I kind of just want this to be over. I was going to try and get into hockey this year, but I've been watching a lot of basketball. Obviously, of course, been watching football. But I was going to try and get into hockey this year just to have something to do. You know, this past baseball season, I was watching so much baseball, and then when the season ended, there was like a withdrawal. There was like, because, you know, there's like literally games at like noon every day. You can watch it, you put it on whenever. And then when the baseball season ends, it's like there's like a big void there. And of course, basketball, there's a lot of games too, but they have days off, and a lot of them are in the evening. So it's not like MLB baseball. So I was like, you know what, maybe I should get into hockey too. And then I remember the first hockey game I was actually watching this year, I was actually bowling. And there was hockey on the TV. And then, like, literally I watched it for like 5 seconds, and then some dude had to get taken off on a stretcher. And I was like, you know what, maybe I'll just watch basketball. What else can I tell you? Breakfast 3 submissions are closed, and I'm going through the submissions now. So I think I've read maybe half of them. And I guess I will probably finish that up soon. But I have an eye appointment. I didn't realize how... I always had theories that there was like something... I thought I was like dyslexic. Because... Or maybe I am, but... I can like read. But I always had trouble. Sometimes I would have trouble with like books that there's a ton of pages... Or a ton of words on one page. Or sometimes if the font is weird, or if the font is small or whatever, I would have trouble with it. And maybe that's kind of why I was drawn to poetry, because there's like line breaks and not as many words on the page. But I always kind of thought there was something up with that. But then when I started working at that gym, I was like straining my eyes so much, and we worked on computers, but then we also did stuff in the gym. And I feel like by the end of the shifts, I was like, my eyes were super strained, and I don't know. If it was like really busy, I would kind of have trouble focusing on things. So I haven't gone to the eye doctor just yet. My appointment's on Tuesday, but kind of looking forward to seeing if that helps at all. And I'm trying to get new lenses and glasses, and then I think I'll probably be more productive, hopefully, with all of that. But anyway, reading through submissions. I'm reading on a computer, so I can like zoom in and I can read things easier that way. And I've gone through about half of them. So if you haven't heard back, expect that at least in the next week or so. And then we shall move forward in the process to getting that third issue out. Yeah, I had my last day at the gym though. I started working out, and I feel like it felt like I want to keep doing it, but it was a tough place to work. I get in my head a lot. I made a few friends there, but I was always thinking nobody liked me, and not that many people talk to me. And then when that happens, it was like I have problems with connecting dots that aren't real, you know. And I was starting to like think that I was just getting like weirdly paranoid, or having like theories about things that it's still kind of hard to tell what was true or not. But you know, if you go to a busy place and nobody talks to you, and then you start reading into how people's attitudes are around you, then like maybe someone having a bad day, you might read it as like, oh, everybody's talking about me, or everybody's saying this and that to me, or about me behind my back. I started to feel like that. I mean, it's like, it gets pretty extreme in my head, like where I start to believe things that aren't real. So I was kind of getting that. I need to get a job that's like in a place where I can like know people, you know? A place where you go there and then you say hello to the person you know and you have a brief conversation instead of seeing 300 people a day who, you know, you can't tell what they're thinking of you, because I have problems with that. Also, I never really been a gym guy, and I was thinking about it after my last day. I was like, I feel like people never laughed there. Like everyone was like I don't know. People probably laughed there, but not very typically. You know, when you're going to bars, people are laughing, having a good time. You go to the gym, nobody wants to be there. If they do want to be there, it's because they're crazy, right? Anyway, moving on. On a better note, the jam sessions have continued. Missed a week or two because of the holidays, but still been practicing with that band. And I think we're putting some pretty cool stuff together. We have like maybe 2 songs that are done, but we'll play like for 2 hours or more. And sometimes one person will play something, everyone else will join in. But that being said, we have a lot of like really long kind of jams that could be part of something else, or they could be added to. I don't even know how many. We've recorded whole sessions too. So we have a couple recordings of like over an hour of just writing stuff. I'm looking forward to seeing how far that goes, seeing where we go next. Because I think at this point, in a few more practices, we could probably put together like a short release of like an EP or something. Or maybe we'll just keep on piling things up and have it be a whole album eventually. Don't want to say too much about it, but I play guitar in that. I guess going back to the initial conversation, or the initial thing I was talking about, voice and also conversation. Yeah, I think another thing, this has been a therapy session instead of a podcast, and I apologize, but I think I have a hard time, like when I try and talk to people, I feel like I'm constantly like trying to match their voice with my voice, and I don't know. I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing. Maybe everyone does that, but I feel like in my own voice, just because, I don't know. I feel like I have a weird voice already, and I've lived in like 4 different states. I mean, all of them are in the Midwest, but all of them do actually have kind of like regions, have accents and whatnot. I feel like I have a problem where when I'm talking to people, I like match how they're talking instead of just having my own way of speaking. And maybe it's situational too, or maybe it's like if I know someone better, I don't like try and stress that connection as much. But that was happening a lot when I was working at the gym too, just because I would talk to so many people. And everyone has their own kind of rhythm and voice and way they communicate. And I feel like I was constantly trying to match it, or trying to like meet like a rhythm within the conversation, as opposed to just like articulating actual like words and whatnot. When you think that everyone hates you, it leads to an extreme self-analysis as the end of the story, I think. And I start to analyze my voice and my vision and how I stand in the world. And that's the last thing I'm going to say about it. But I want you to know, dear podcast listener of the Secret Restaurant podcast, that you are loved. And the world is a cold place. And just because the people around you are not showing you the affection that you want. Okay, so let's talk about, I haven't been reading at all. So I can't really talk about reading. I wanted to do an episode of the film Train Dreams, because if you listen to this podcast, you know that Dennis Johnson is one of my favorite authors, if not my favorite author. And I saw that adaptation that just came out twice. I saw it in theaters because they had a limited showing of it because it's actually a Netflix original. So I saw it in theaters and then I watched it on Netflix again. But it's been so long. I think I watched it around Thanksgiving. I almost need to like write down notes or something or watch it again. But I loved that book the second I read it. And I want to talk about the movie and the book and all that, but I'm not really prepared for it. And then also, Dennis Johnson, they released a biography of him. And you know what? That dude has been like very mysterious, and I've been hearing things about it, about how it talks about his life and how it talks about a lot of stuff that people like me did not know. Because he was very reclusive until towards the end of his life, he started to do more public appearances. But he also was kind of like, I've heard it referred to as a traveler in the spiritual sense, where I think he was born in Germany because his dad worked for the government. So he was like American, but he was born in Germany. And then that kind of, in my mind, I connected where it's like, because he traveled his whole life. Like, he lived in Iowa a lot, but he traveled his whole life, and I think there was kind of like a restlessness and a thirst for danger in his life. And so I'm looking forward to reading it. I'll read it once I get those glasses. But yeah, so musically, let's talk about music. The one artist that I've talked about on here, but I went through a huge deep dive, is the rap duo from Minneapolis, Minnesota, Atmosphere, who consists of the rapper, lyricist Slug, and then the instrumentation and beats and production by Ant. And for some reason, because I've known about them and listened to them for a long time, but I never really did a dive of their whole albums. And they released the album last year in 2025. And slowly I began to revisit their albums. And then around Christmas time, I was just buying a bunch of the vinyl and still spinning it. The new one's pretty fun. It's like, the interesting thing about Atmosphere, and specifically Slug and his lyrics, is that the early ones are very transgressive. And I always felt like whenever he wrote songs, he's a good storyteller and he's a good songwriter, and he writes pretty complicated concepts that sometimes deal with issues that are taboo, as people say, or issues that a lot of people don't want to talk about. And so I always knew that. And I think for a lot of people who might not get into Atmosphere's music, especially those early albums, there's always something where like every song, or especially every album, there'd always be parts where he'd say something that like kind of makes you cringe, or kind of it hits you in a way that makes you feel uncomfortable, or like, oh, should he really have said that? Or like, oh, I don't want to listen to this album while other people are hearing it because I don't want them to like think. I don't want to be thinking about what they're thinking about the lyrics, which is what makes him an artist, you know. But then they had a arc where like, not that they still don't do that, but their later albums, like there's a lot more expressions of like joy and like a lot more expressions of like not trying to be a tough person or a badass, or like not talking about like pain or tragedy in a way that's like angry. They kind of switched because the early albums are very angry. And they've released over a dozen projects. I don't even know how many. Their career started way back in the 90s. I think their first studio album was like 97, but that wasn't even the beginning of their career as musicians. And so looking at someone who was, or a group that was so prolific and that went through such like revealing and intimate lyrics, personal lyrics, and looking at someone who started from their mid-20s and now are in their 50s and listen to lyrics and stuff, it's been exciting for me to really kind of sit down and, I don't want to say learn from it, although that is probably the right word. It just sounds kind of corny to me. But like just to like experience it and consume it. And I guess, yeah, just learn from it. I don't know how else to put it. If I were to recommend two albums, one early one, the new album is called Gestures, but it's spelled with a J, so I think it's a combination of Jesters and Gestures, like Jes, or GESTURES. It's a combination of those words. That one is like one you can put on and enjoy, and it's nice. And he talks, the lyrics they could be deeper, and they can be complicated, and they can be analyzing difficult things, emotions and whatnot. But it's pretty much, I would call it a feel-good album. So there's that one, and then maybe I would go back to one of their earlier ones. Perhaps, I think it's their third album called Seven's Travels. I think that's probably my favorite of theirs. It's definitely my favorite of their earlier ones. But really, if you listen to any of their albums, they put so much care into it. And if you do have the privilege of getting vinyl, their label, the vinyl they put out, there's like, you can tell that they put, once again, so much care into like the pressing. The vinyl sounds amazing, like the packaging is like heavy, and they're usually like double to triple LPs and heavy and all that. All right, I feel like that's enough for today. I'm sorry if you guys missed me. I'm sure that it's been a challenging time without the Secret Restaurant podcast, but never fear, we're back at it.